It's time for the anecdote jar again. As I said last time, I'm older and it's not like I hunt down crap, but you know, crap hunts you down after a while. And I have stories to tell. We'll see what we get this time. Ridiculous job interviews. Well, let's see. Yes, explain to me how a mass flow valve works. Explain to me how a mass flow valve works. That's a reminder of a ridiculous job interview I had once. In my real life, I was an engineer, still am an engineer, do software for things like controls, microprocessor controls. I won't go into any specifics, but it's a fun job. It can be a fun job. It can be a very frustrating job. But I've had some odd interviews along the way. Explain to me how mass flow valve works. Well, okay, that's a tag to remind me of. I went to a place once where they were looking for a software engineer. They were looking for someone to program systems. It sounded very interesting. It had to do with systems that regulated gases in the air for experimental systems. And they used a number of valves to do various things. And the guy, first of all, I got a test. This is the only job interview where I had a test. You know, I went in there, they didn't ask me about my previous experience, of which I had a vast experience at that point. You know, I pretty much knew what I was doing. I did some kind of cool things. Did they ask about that? No. They just gave me a test, a written exam, you know. Write a program that sorts items, like sorts things in alphabetical order. Write the computer program to do that. Write a computer program that, I forget what it was, but it was some sort of little program that took some kind of an input from a device and did some sort of math on that input to come up with some sort of calculated property. Okay, all right, you know, write a computer program that does that. Draw a picture of a simple low-pass filter at 1,000 kilohertz. Okay, draw my little capacitor and resistor and all that, okay? I turned in my exams, they graded my exams, you know, then, oh, and they also proceeded to tell me how long it took me compared to other applicants and other people who work there, you know, because everybody did the same test, like an initiation, I suppose. Okay, fine. Okay, now I've been to many job interviews, and that's the only one where I had to like do an exam. Okay? And then the guy asked me all kinds of questions that were really outside my area of expertise. He asked me about how a mass flow valve works, you know, which is really kind of it's a chemistry question, it's an electronics question. And I kind of stumbled through, I sort of had a rough idea of how he worked. And he asked me, you know, questions that had to do with chemistry, and that had to do with biology. And, you know, he asked me all these questions that I didn't know the answer to, you know. And he said, well, you know, we're looking for a person here who can do it all. He's looking for a person who can do it all. He's looking for a computer programmer, electronics guy, chemistry guy, biology guy, atmospheric sciences, you know. Somebody that can do it all. And I kind of said, well, I wish you the best in that, you know. And I was almost in tears because they didn't, you know, like I say, they didn't ask me what I knew already. They didn't ask me what I've been doing. He could have seen that on my resume, you know. He could have called me on the phone. By the way, I had to drive to this interview. I had to drive like 2 hours to get to this crappy place. And, you know, they didn't regard me in any way, really. I mean, he could have called me on the phone to ask me, how does a mass flow valve work, you know? He could have looked at my resume and seen, software. I do software. I can program a microvax. That sort of gives you an idea of how long ago this was. I can program a microvax. I can do Fortran stuff. I can do control system stuff. And instead, he just had me, beside myself, because he just insulted me, essentially. He insulted me. He said, effectively, he said, "Why are you here? Why am I even there? I don't know. You guys invited me. You guys saw my fucking resume. Why am I here? And plus, on top of that, you could tell it was just a little crappy place to work. I went in to use the washroom, and it was like horrible. I needed a paint job. You had to use crappy little paper towels. It was like, obviously they did not treat their employees very well. It's like, ain't no way I'm going to work here. So that was just an altogether humiliating experience. So I went to another interview. The other little tag here to remind me of this other interview. Have you ever done data mining? This is like a totally different interview at a totally different place, but kind of the same effect. It's like they didn't ask me what I'd done in the past. They were doing things that were a little bit different. This was like a business application. It's like, why am I even interviewing for business applications? I mean, this is stuff I could do with half my brain tied behind my back. Honestly, I mean, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I mean, this is, in my field of work, that field of work is what we call the boring stuff, or the easy stuff. I'm sorry, but business applications, anybody can do it, Anybody can do it. But I didn't have the particular lingo. I didn't have the particular lingo that they used. I've never done data mining, even though I have some idea. I mean, you know what it is just from the term. I mean, it's like taking a large database and trying to find stuff, using software, fairly intelligent software that makes a lot of decisions to find the stuff you're interested in. Duh. Anybody can write programs to do that, but I just didn't have that particular, expertise in my professional life. And these guys just kind of sat around the table and talked about their lingo, and talked about the things that they did in their so sophisticated business software, and their fourth generation applications that do all kinds of great database stuff, And again, it was just humiliating. It's like all they wanted to do was like tell me what I didn't know. Plus, it happened to be when Al Gore was campaigning, and Al Gore happened to be making a campaign stop nearby in this same city, and they sat there and ridiculed Al Gore, which it doesn't matter what my politics is. I mean, doing something like that is just totally unprofessional. Anyways, it's like, how do you know I'm an idiot conservative like you guys are? Just because, the person whom I networked with in order to get this job interview is like an idiot conservative, doesn't mean I agree with you guys. Totally like unprofessional. So it's like, this is one reason that I don't do engineering full-time anymore. I'm just tired of these folks. I'm tired of these people. Thank you very much. I'm sure they're fine people. I don't really need to put them down. I'm just telling you my little narrow experience. And I hope you enjoyed it. And the moral of the story is, if you go to a job interview, I know it's hard. I know it's hard. And sometimes you just have to go through a lot of interviews to get to the right one. So just keep plugging away. Don't let the turkeys get you down.